All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for tonight's virtual workshop. Tonight, we will be discussing California Senate Bill 1383 and how you can implement best practices related to the bill into your home, business, or property. My name is Jen Mentwig with the marketing and public affairs firm Tripeppi Smith, and I will be your facilitator for this evening's workshop. We're so glad you've joined us, and we'll go ahead and jump right in. So first off, we do want to note that this meeting is being recorded. The recording will be saved and made available on the city's website for later viewing. And that's so if you want to go back and reference anything that comes up tonight, it'll be available for that and to serve as a resource for folks who may not be able to join us this evening. And then right off the bat, we'd love to get a better sense for who all is joining us this evening. That will give us a better sense of the perspective that you're bringing to the workshop and allow us to better speak to the topics that would be most applicable to you. And we'd just love to learn a little bit more about you. So you'll see the question that popped up via Zoom. And that question is, who do you represent? Is that a single family property, a multifamily property? Are you a business owner or a property manager? Go ahead and let us know via that quiz if you can. We'll give you a second to do that. Okay, great. Well, thank you for that feedback. Looking like we've got lots of single family properties. We've got one business owner in the group, so that's really helpful info. Thanks so much for participating. And then here on this slide, you can see an overview of what we'll be covering tonight. We'll start with a refresher on what goes where. We'll move on to a conversation of SB 1383 and tips for residents, businesses, and property managers. Next, we'll dig into the benefits of compost, and we'll wrap up with a conversation around Orange's new spreader equipment and the related benefits to the community. And then at the end, we'll have an open Q&A session to answer any questions you may have. And then throughout, as you saw with our poll that already popped up, we will have some questions and kind of interactive opportunities as we go to test your knowledge and share feedback. As you see with the Q&A at the end, we're asking that you hold general questions to the end of the presentation. That way, if it's going to be answered in the materials that we have, it'll give those speakers a chance to get to it. And then by all means, we'll answer as many questions as the presenters have time for in the allotted time that we have this evening. So speaking of the presenters, we'll go ahead and move into our introductions. We have a wonderful group of presenters here for tonight's workshop, and we'll go around and have them each introduce themselves. So I'll go ahead and start with the City of Orange. Josh, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Jen, and just welcome to the whole community. I appreciate everybody taking their time to come on and join us tonight, and hopefully we'll make it worth your while. I'm Josh Solis here with the City of Orange. I am the Public Works Admin Manager for the city. I oversee the solid waste and street sweeping contract with CR&R and assist also with our Cal Recycle compliance. And just excited here to share some of our knowledge and benefits here for the community. With that, I'll pass it along over to Ting Yao with CR&R.
Thank you, Josh. Nice to meet you all. Thank you all so much for being here. As Josh mentioned, my name is Ting Yao. I'm one of the three sustainability specialists for the City of Orange, and I work for CR&R. We are the trash hauling company for the City of Orange. And one of the three team members, and kind of our main roles center around program implementation, teaching people, the benefits and the importance of the regulations associated with recycling and organic waste. So pass it off to my team member, Isabel. You can go ahead.
Hello, and thank you for having me as well. My name is Isabel Morales. As Tinao mentioned, I am one of three that helped to educate and implement the state mandate, SB 1383. So thank you for having me as well. And I'm going to pass it over to my third person, Linda.
Good evening. My name is Linda Norman. I am the third sustainability specialist for the City of Orange. Thank you guys for having me here tonight. Hopefully, it's an exciting night. We get to learn together. Um, and thank you.
Hey, and my name is Becky Brown, and I am an outreach associate for Abound Food Care. And I help assist with doing all the education and outreach to all the edible food generators in the city of Orange. And I will pass it off to the Troy Pepe Smith team.
Thank you. I mentioned my name is Jen, and I am from Pepe Smith as your facilitator. We also have a wonderful team of Ethan, Morgan, and Erica on the back end. So thank you again for the chance to facilitate this evening. I'll turn it over to OC Waste and Recycling. And Roger, we can't hear you.
Thank you for that. Good evening. My name is Roger with Orange County Waste and Recycling. My role with OC Waste and Recycling is the Material Regulation Specialist, along with Derek, my partner, who will be introducing himself to everyone. So we are involved with household hazardous waste. We're involved with other services that are provided at the landfill. And so we're here to assist and provide any questions and answers that you might have with regards to household hazardous waste.
Good evening. My name is Derek Camacho. As Roger said, I'm also a materials regulation specialist. We are part of the HHW team. So we help with all the household hazardous waste. We help maintain and oversee the 4 collection centers, which we'll talk about shortly, as well as some of the services that the landfill provides. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much, everyone, for the introductions. So next, we'll move right along to the next slide. And we do have another quick question for the group before we get into presenting more info. And that is, how does California's Senate Bill 1383 affect you as an Orange resident and or business owner? So go ahead and select the choice that you would like to select. We'll give folks a couple seconds to fill that in. All right, and while those responses come in, you may have gathered the answer is all of the above. So you're required to separate your organic waste from your regular trash. You are helping contribute to edible food recovery. Your compost helps beautify Orange's green space. So all of the above. Thanks everyone for participating in that as well. And we'll get into all of those reasons and benefits as we go along this evening. And then as we do start to get into Senate Bill 1383 and what it's all about, we have a quick video to share with you from the City of Orange, which does a great job of explaining the bill and its purpose. So we'll get that video started. Representative team, check the volume real quick.
Gas, a climate pollutant that is 80. Did you know that when organic materials such as food or yard waste end up in a landfill, they emit methane gas, a climate pollutant that is 84 times more potent than carbon dioxide? Right now, organic waste constitutes 50% of what gets dumped into our landfills. This includes uneaten food, landscape trimmings and clippings, non-hazardous wood waste, cardboard, paper, and food soil paper waste. This is a real problem. Fortunately, we are all part of the solution. California Senate Bill 1383 mandates all California cities, including Orange, to provide organic waste collection services to all residents and businesses. This means that Orange residents and businesses must place organic waste in a designated bin or cart to ensure it is recycled. This reduces organic landfill waste, which cuts methane emissions. As a bonus, this also allows us to recycle this waste into new products like renewable energy, mulch, compost, healthy soil, and other materials that are beneficial to our environment. This is a big change, but working together, we can make a difference. Find out more about the state's new recycling mandates at calrecycle.ca.gov/SLCP. For more information, visit cityoforange.org/solid waste.
All right, thank you. Always fun to start off with a quick video. So with that, we'll move right along. And before we get into what goes where and some simple steps that CR&R will be sharing, we just have one more question to kind of tee up this topic. So you can see the question on the next slide. What items do you think belong in your green organics cart? So go ahead and answer that for us. All right, and as we get into the answer and a little bit more about what goes where, I'll actually turn this over to Ting Yao to get into what goes where. So over to you, and if you'd like to speak to the answer here, to answer what items belong in your green organics cart, pet waste, palm fronds, or bones, could you elaborate on that answer, Ting Yao?
Yeah. I'm sorry. I
Or
believe
Linda?
Linda was supposed to
Yes,
go to the. Yeah, sorry. I'll
Linda.
pass off to Linda.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the answer to that would be none of the above. I believe all those items should be going into your landfill cart. Just to give you guys a quick breakdown on how to make sorting your waste simple and effective. We have this slide here to explain the three main carts that you will be utilizing in your day-to-day life. The black cart is for landfill items, things that can't be composted or recycled. This typically includes pet waste, diapers, ceramics, polystyrene, and even things like palm fronds and bones. Your next cart would be the blue cart, which is for recyclables. This is for paper, cardboard, glass, metals, and plastics labeled 1 through 7, with the exception of number 6, which is polystyrene. Like your next cart would be the green cart, which is for food waste and organics. This includes everything from leftover food, like meat, dairy, grains, and vegetables, to yard waste, like grass, leaves, and flowers, food soil, paper as well. Following the system helps us comply with SB 1383, reduce landfill use, and create a cleaner, more sustainable community.
Thanks, Linda. So I think those categories, they seem pretty clear and all that info was super helpful. Before we move on, I did just want to ask if you have any thoughts on common mistakes or issues you see when it comes to sorting. Is there anything that's a common occurrence that you think could be helpful for people to keep in mind?
Yes, so typically people think all plastic is recyclable. So unfortunately, that is not true. There are certain procedures that we have to make sure that plastic is sorted correctly. A lot of single-use plastic actually belongs in your landfill cart, which can be a bit misleading, especially because most people assume all plastic is recyclable. So it's important to look into that before you put that into your recycling cart. And also, as far as organics, a lot of people mistake pet waste as organics. Unfortunately, that does have to go straight into the landfill because it is not able to be processed.
Okay, those are helpful tips. Thank you. Then from there, we'll move on. We have one more question at this point. Following up on what Linda shared, which of the following items do not belong in any of your CR&R carts? So go ahead and select your options here. And hopefully you've had a chance to pick your options there. The answer is all of the above. So none of those options go in your CR&R carts. And that is actually a great segue to bring us into our next topic on household hazardous waste. Thank you again, CR&R, for getting that information shared about what goes where. But at this point, we'll turn it over to Derek from OC Waste and Recycling to touch on household hazardous waste and how to properly dispose of those items.
Thank you. So household hazardous waste, or HHW for short. So what is HHW? It is unused or leftover household products that are toxic, corrosive, flammable, or reactive. Some of those items can include batteries, paints, cleaners, smoke detectors, pesticides, herbicides. So essentially anything that you would find in a normal household. It does not belong in any of your trash cards. So please do not throw any of that stuff in your regular trash. Us being the county, we do collect these items. So you can always call 714-834-4000 for the main line for any question you may have. We do provide a lot of services. One of the services he mentioned here is we do assist in the schedule. We can do a pickup. The only thing is you either must, unfortunately, follow one of these categories, which is either homebound seniors or disabled resident. We do only pick up once a month, only 9 residents per month. For this month, we already booked. So on Monday, it will be the pickup. For May next month, we already have 3 people on the list. So as far as I know, we have about 6 spots left. So if you fall into these categories or know someone who does, I recommend that you call as soon as possible, and the front desk will patch through either me or Roger, and we can go ahead and schedule the pickup for you. So next slide, please. As I mentioned, we do collect HHW or hazardous waste. We do have 4 collection centers. We have one in Anaheim, Huntington Beach, Irvine, and San Juan Capistrano. And our hours of operation go from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and from Tuesday to Saturday. They are closed Mondays and Sundays. And we do collect many items, as is mentioned earlier. So batteries, propane tanks, sharps, paint, household cleaners, e-waste. So, we get a lot of questions regarding that. As far as e-waste, the PCs, keyboards, televisions, that sort of thing. And the last thing that I will touch upon is the materials exchange program, which I think it's a really cool program. And essentially, for example, if somebody brings in a can of paint, and let's say it's about halfway full, the contractor will not put it for disposal. They will actually put it in a little storage area. We have one in each site. And basically you can come in and you can grab up to 5 items. So you can grab paints, you can grab cleaners, wax, anything that you might find interesting or something that you can, find use for. So it's only limited 5 per person. 5 limits per person. And 5 items per person and only once per visit. So there is a limitation to that. And I will pass it on to Roger, and he will go ahead and finalize our portion. Thank you.
So, as Derek mentioned, and just to touch on the material exchange program. So, with regards
Roger, your audio might be coming in a little distorted.
Okay, how about now?
Much better.
Okay, maybe if I get too close, maybe that's probably why. So, how about now? Okay, so I'll go ahead and as I was mentioning with the materials exchange program and the utilized paint, the paint program also does have a recycling program. So, if it's not eligible for the MEP exchange program, then it does go to a recycling facility, and that's one of the things with the county and its efforts to recycle and reuse. So at the HHW Center, I know it's a collection center for household hazardous waste, but there are programs in place that we are trying to, divert materials from being disposed of so that they can go to a recycling option. With regards to our landfill services, we do have our mattress program, which 2 of our landfills are open to the general public, and you're welcome to bring your used mattress at no cost to you. It's just bringing the mattress to the facility. And the 2 landfills that are available for customers, general customers, would be the Olinda Alpha facility, which is in Brea, and our Prima Desecha facility, which is located in San Juan Capistrano. Unfortunately, our Irvine location and Frank R. Bowerman, that facility is only available for businesses and contractors and commercial trucks. So, so again, if you have a mattress, you're more than welcome to go to any one of our 2 north or south household landfill facilities. We do accept appliances for a small fee, and so you're welcome to bring your washer, dryer, or refrigerator to a landfill, and they'll be able to segregate it from the waste so that it goes to a recycling facility. We do have information on our website. Our website is oclandfills.com, and on our website we do have lots of information that could be useful. One in particular is our ocrecyclingguide.com, which is really unique, and it's you're able to click and read on what on how to dispose of and what are the proper ways of handling them for disposal. Next slide. And another effort with the county, which I think it's an effort not only in the county but in the city as well. But the county does have a compost giveaway program, and so you are eligible to scan the QR code, and you're able to go to the landfill anytime during the week from Monday through Saturday. They're only closed on Sundays, but you're welcome to do by appointment, and it's complimentary free composter mulch. And we will be having a compost giveaway event taking place on May 3rd. And that'll be at all three landfills starting at 7 a.m. and finishing at noon. And so you're welcome to look at that on our website with the physical addresses. But it's a very, fun event. You do get your hands dirty, and there's a little bit of swag that they give out for our customers that come and visit. But thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Roger. Thank you, Derek. Just going back really quick to something you mentioned about contacting OC Waste and Recycling for those pickups from home. And forgive me if you highlighted any parameters around that. Are there details in terms of quantity or, a weight that people need to keep in mind when it comes to what can be picked up?
Yeah, so when it does come to pickup, usually there is weight limits. If like an item is heavy, that could be a restriction. But usually we see a lot of people that are enable or senior that have like sharps that they're looking to get rid of. And so for the most part, we're able to assist with sharps. We've gotten situations where people have an abundance amount of paint, and so that limitation is, either 15 gallons. I believe it's either 15 gallons or 125 pounds, whichever comes first.
Okay, great. And then one more question that came to mind on household hazardous waste based on questions that the cities will sometimes see. I know there are issues that come up with batteries and other items. Could you elaborate on why it is so important to properly dispose of household hazardous waste and what some of the risks or even real life things that are bad consequences that can sometimes happen?
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the reasons why you want to, properly handle and manage household hazard waste items, it's for environmental health issues. You want to make sure that your environment is healthy, your ecosystem is healthy. You also want to do it for public safety and also for the purpose of recycling. And one of the things with our MEP program is, if you have an unused bleach or unused cleaning agent, I mean, it has a second life that you can, apply to it, and it's beneficial for other people that are able to take advantage of the program. The risk, is always the new and latest thing with lithium ion batteries. I mean, although they're very, very beneficial in regards to weight and charge speed and, being able to last a very long time, but they're susceptible. It's susceptible to thermal runaway, and that's what can cause a fire. And so it's really important with items such as batteries to be properly disposed of and properly handled, because these are the kind of items that could potentially cause a trash truck fire.
Okay. Yeah, that's really helpful to know. So thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, then thank you again, OC Waste and Recycling team, for all the info on household hazardous waste and how to properly dispose of those items. Next, I'll turn it over to Ting Yao and the CR&R team, as well as Becky from Abound Food Care for information and tips on SB 1383 compliance. So over to you, Ting Yao.
Thank you, Jen. So for this next portion of the presentation, we'll be splitting up the information between single family as well as multifamily and businesses. This first segment is specifically for single family residents. As we mentioned previously, there's a lot of residents here attending our workshop today, so we definitely want to present this information. In terms of residents in the city of Orange, one of the main roles that residents have is to make sure that the household items that they're throwing away are properly sorted in your three carts. So all residents in the state of Orange should have three carts, with the black one being trash, the blue one being recycle, and the green one being your organic waste cart. So our main focus here as sustainability specialists is to make sure that people know what goes in what container. And one of the pro tips that we do share for residents is in terms of your organic waste, so any food scraps, any food soiled paper, those items, we definitely recommend having a container on your kitchen counter. And this way, easily, whenever you're cutting up your vegetables, cutting up your fruit, or if you're just trying to clear out your fridge, there's an easy way for you to dispose of and collect your organic waste. Now, this kitchen container, as we can see in the video on the slide, it comes in many different varieties, and you can use what container that you have. So whether it be a leftover Tupperware that you're not using currently, or whether it be a pail, whether it be any sort of kitchen container you can utilize. If you don't have something that you currently have at home, you can always purchase one online. I know Target has a bunch of options, Amazon has a bunch of options. Any hardware or garden store should have these uh, kitchen containers as well. In terms of tips for reducing and sorting your organic waste, a couple of things that we definitely suggest residents do is to making sure you're aware of the items that you're buying when you do go to your grocery store. Make sure that you try to buy only what you can consume and use in order to reduce any sort of food that is thrown away after being soiled. In terms of the actual sorting of the organic waste, I already mentioned using a container on your counter. However, another item that we like to share is when you do, have a good amount of items that you're prepared to throw away, your organic waste, we definitely recommend putting it in a clear and compostable bag. And also, after that bag is filled, to put it into the freezer or the refrigerator. Just because, trash is only collected once a week. So let's say if you're still a couple days out from your collection day, you definitely don't want to don't have that uh, organic waste sitting out. So we definitely recommend residents putting it in a bag, tying it up, and putting it in your freezer or your refrigerator, just like you would any other food scraps or leftover food. Lastly, on this slide, making sure that residents dispose of it correctly in your green cart. So your green cart that you all have at your property, it can hold both green waste and food waste. We want to make that very clear. So in your green cart, it's not just, leaves and any garden waste. We also definitely encourage everyone to put their food waste in there as well. That way we can, promote composting and also, just making sure everything is in the correct container. Yeah, next slide.
Real quick, while we're on
Oh,
this
go
slide,
ahead, Jen.
because you
Yeah.
went over the kitchen scrap container and kind of this is where a lot of the sorting will happen. So I think just for folks participating today who are from a single family residence, we're obviously always wanting to sort properly and get it right. But in the case that someone doesn't sort their organics correctly, how does CR&R respond to that?
Yeah, so in terms of any sort of incorrect placement of waste or anything like that, what our truck drivers will actually do is we'll go ahead and if they do notice high levels of contamination in your carts, they'll go ahead and put a tag on the back of your cart. There's no sort of penalties or consequences associated with it. We want to focus on education first for this type of issue. So. On that slip, that tag that the driver will attach, it'll include detailed information on, hey, we noticed there was trash in your recycle cart, or maybe, hey, we noticed that there was a lot of food waste in your trash cart, and here's what you can do, and here's the correct items that you can put in your cart. So that's probably the thing that would happen the most commonly. But we definitely take an educational approach in terms of these items.
Okay, great to know about the education first philosophy. And then circling back to that food scrap container, whatever it is that folks are using, I think sometimes people have questions about how they can take steps to make sure it doesn't have odors or it doesn't attract pests. Are there any tips and tricks that you're able to share along those lines?
Yeah, great question. This is a common question that we usually get. In addition to tying your bag up and putting it in the freezer or the refrigerator to prevent odor, another tip that we suggest is to layer your organic waste. So once you have thrown away your items in your green cart, we definitely recommend layering it. So, for example, you can have a couple bags of food waste, but then make sure to separate it with leaves and branches and other, garden items. So that way it's not completely food waste. So it kind of masks any smells or any odors associated with that. In terms of pests, this is definitely also another key issue. Our suggestion is to kind of leave your organic waste when it comes to food in the fridge, in the freezer before you throw it out. So definitely don't want to make sure that we leave the food sitting in the green waste cart for too long. Um, and that's probably the best tip that we can provide.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, thank you. And sorry for jumping right in.
No worries. Next slide. So for these next two slides, I wanted to emphasize two upcoming events for the City of Orange residents that we are having, and we strongly encourage everyone to attend these events. This first one is a free compost giveaway event, and this one is happening on April 19th, Saturday from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. This one is going to be located at the City of Orange Public Works Courtyard at 637 West Struck Avenue. This is different from what Roger had shared 2 slides ago. That one is the county compost giveaway. This is the city compost giveaway. So any residents for the city of Orange are more than welcome to attend, and all residents can pick up to 2 free bags of compost per resident. And once again, April 19th, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Next slide. This second one is a shredding, e-waste, and bulk item drop-off event. So it's kind of a 3-in-1 that we are providing to residents. So at this event, you'll have the opportunity to do paper shredding. If you have any confidential papers or any documents that you want to make sure are shredded correctly. At the same time, you can also drop off any extra e-waste. So this includes all these items listed here, so monitors, cell phones, computers, etc. And the third one is a bulky item drop-off. So these include items that are, bulk items such as furniture, mattresses, and even white goods such as washers and dryers. Just like the compost giveaway event, this one is specifically for the City of Orange residents, and it is a great opportunity if you have any extra items lying around to make sure that they are disposed of correctly and processed correctly as well. And this event is going to occur on June 14th from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. City residents should have received these 2 flyers in their billing, but just wanted to emphasize these events again.
All right,
I'll pass it
so
back to you, Jen.
yeah, thank you. Time to jump in with our next Zoom quiz questions. So you can see the question there on the screen. What are easy ways to limit your organic waste at home? So we'll give folks a couple seconds to submit your answers there. All right, well, hopefully you've had a chance to submit your answer. And as you may have guessed, the answer is all of the above. So you can compost to the kitchen pail, you can make a grocery list to make sure that you're getting just the right amount that you need and utilize those leftovers. So all great ways to limit your organic waste at home. Thanks everybody who participated. And then jumping right back in with multifamily. So over to CR&R again.
Awesome. Okay, so this second section we have is for residents who live in apartment complexes. Of course, with the nature of apartment complexes, all of the containers are shared. So it is quite different from single families where you have your own containers. So of course, at the same time, the tips and the nature of how we throw away things in multifamilies is different. So a couple key tips that we recommend for multifamily residents. The first one being to familiarize yourself with your community waste containers and locations. If you do live in a bigger apartment complex, it's a very high chance that you have multiple enclosures that might be near you and multiple different places where you can throw away your trash. Some of them might have, certain containers. So some of them might only have a trash bin, some of them might only have a recycle bin, some of them might have both. So it's really important that residents familiarize themselves with where they can throw away their items correctly, just because it might not be as accessible to them as it would be for a single family home. The second item is to carefully sort and place your waste into the correct containers. So here on the slide, we've provided pictures of containers that you might see in your apartment complex. So you might have a smaller recycle cart, or you might have a large recycle bin. For some communities, they even have a split bin, and what that is it's a shared container between trash and recycle. So trash on one side, recycle on the other side. And then on the bottom, we can see some communities have organic waste bins, while others have organic waste carts. So these are kind of just some different variations that you might see in your community. However, same thing as always, we definitely want to make sure that we throw away our waste in the correct containers. So making sure the recycling items go into the carts and the bins, and then also same thing with the organic waste. And of course, encourage your neighbors if you are, if you know your neighbors, if you're really passionate about these issues, definitely highly encourage everyone to speak to those around you and making sure that, hey, did you know that we have organics container? Some people might not be aware that they even have that container on the property. So always good to talk to your neighbors and those around you about these issues. Lastly, for the pro tip, same thing as single family, making sure that we put our food waste and food soiled paper in bags. We definitely don't want to just throw away our organic waste into the container directly. You can do that for your recycling container, and we do encourage that for the recycling container. However, for the organic waste container, we definitely encourage people to put your food waste and your food soiled paper into either a clear or a compostable bag. Those are kind of the main two options for our organic waste containers. And yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. And I guess on this topic, for folks who are joining who might be from a multifamily residence, if they do run into a situation where their building might not have the correct carts that you're describing, who should they reach out to, or what can they do in that situation?
Yeah, I would suggest for any residents who might be in the situation, definitely talk to your property manager. So for larger communities, oftentimes they'll have a leasing office on site, and there'll be on-site staff. However, for smaller multifamily residents and complexes, a lot of times they will know their property manager personally. So always have those staff members as the main point of contact.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for that info for multifamily residences. And next, we'll get into information for businesses. And for that, I'll turn it over to Becky from Abound Food Care.
Okay, so I'm going to go over some of the requirements for business owners and related to SB 1383. This is more towards commercial businesses, not so much towards the residents. So businesses must have a food donation program in place to donate the maximum amount of the excess edible food. The businesses also generating 20 or more gallons of waste weekly must comply with the SB 13 regulations as well. And then all businesses in the city of Orange must recycle their kitchen waste. So AB 827 requires commercial food establishments to provide accessible recycling and organics collection bins for customers. Next slide. And I kind of just want to go over a little bit the edible food requirements part of it. So they have it broken down into a tier 1 and tier 2 generator. So for the tier 1 food generators, are required to donate the maximum amount of their excess edible food waste starting in January of 2022. And that would be for supermarkets, whose revenue would be $2 million or above, grocery stores, food service providers, food distributors, and then wholesale food vendors. And then for our tier two food generators, they have it broken down into restaurants that are 5,000 square feet and above and have 250 seats or more, hotels that have an on-site food facility with 200 rooms or more, healthcare facilities that have an on-site food facility with 100 beds or more, um, large venues and events, state agencies with cafeterias and whose square footage is 5,000 square feet, local education agencies, as well as non-local entities. And they, starting January of 2024, were required to have a food donation program in place. So with Abound Food Care, we've been working just reaching out to all the food generators within the city, just kind of educating what the food donation requirements are, as well as assisting with getting a food donation program in place if they currently don't have one in place. So part of the requirements for the food donations is that you have an agreement in place with the food recovery organization that you donate your excess food to, as well as a log that can track the types of food donated, as well as the monthly pounds. So we actually offer a platform called Chow Match to any of the generators within the city of Orange that don't currently have a food donation program in place, that they could sign up on the platform as a donor. Once you're signed up on the platform, you'll have that agreement with Abound Food Care in place. And you can also utilize the platform as your log because it will keep track of any donations that you post. And you can go back and pull them up at any time. It'll show what was donated, the pounds, and the agency that picked up. So we try to make it as easy on you guys as possible. Once you're signed up, if you ever come across a situation where you do have excess edible food, you would just log into your account, post what you have to donate, and then we receive a notification letting us know a donation was posted. And then we go ahead and work on matching that donation with an agency that's near you that can accept and pick up that donation from you. We try to make it easier for you guys.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. So then still on the topic of the Abound Food Care information you shared, Becky, something that some folks might wonder is if they can get involved in Abound Food Care. Are there any volunteer opportunities or anything along those lines?
So there are volunteer opportunities that I know with a couple of the agencies within the city. So the Hub Resource Center is always looking for volunteers, as well as the Friendly Center. If you just go to their websites for the Hub OC, it would be the hubresourcecenter.org. And then for Friendly Center, it's just the friendlycenter.org. And both of the agencies have volunteer sign up information. It's just a sheet that you would sign up for, letting them know that you're interested in volunteering, and then you submit it, and then they go ahead and reach out to you.
Okay. And then just in line of the big picture of matching surplus edible food with folks who might need it, is there anything that you could share that comes to mind in terms of the impact that food donations may have had in your work with Abound Food Care?
Yeah, so food donations, a lot of people think like, oh, what is this excess edible food going to really do? It's not that much. When in fact, with Abound Food Care, we use a lot of the excess edible food recovered and repurpose this into emergency meals. And just recently, actually, we were able to repurpose and make emergency meals with the excess recovered food and actually provide it to the communities during the recent fires. So it actually goes a long way and really does make a difference.
Yeah, that's huge. Thanks for sharing. So then moving on from the info for businesses, we'll go ahead and jump into information for property managers. And for that, I'll turn it over to Isabel from CR&R.
Thank you. Okay. Well, per SB 1383, property managers are required to supply and allow access to an adequate number, size, and location of containers to right-size community and minimize contamination. Should you need help getting started, contact CR&R customer service to set up container deliveries to your property. You may call 800-826-9677. For specific recycling and organic questions, contact CR&R, City of Orange Sustainability Specialist at orange-recycles@crrmail.com. Sustainability specialists can provide education to the residents, provide on-site training, as well as workshops, on-site walkthroughs with property managers for placement and right sizing. My pro tip is make sure the community enclosures are labeled and numbered. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Isabel. And I think just thinking about property managers who might be on and questions that they might have, sitting in their shoes, what would happen if residents or tenants won't comply?
Well, ultimately, it is the property manager's responsibility, owner, to educate their tenants, their HOAs, to how this program is working, what they need to do. We, the sustainability team, are here to assist with education, as I mentioned. We have outreach information that we are happy to email, deliver. We do provide training workshops at, in their, when they have an open house or something like that, where they all gather and they want to know, and we could collect, everyone at one time, which is always the best, and giving examples, right, of what goes where. And we're always here to help should anyone need assistance and their tenants or HOA are quite not understanding. We are here to help, and that's our job.
Yeah, sounds like there are lots of resources and
Yes, for
lots
sure.
of help available. All right, well, thank you. So then next we have another quiz question for the group, and this will lead us into our next section. So a little bit of a teaser here. What happens to your organic waste after CR&R collects it? Is it tossed into the ocean? Is it dumped into a landfill? Is it turned into renewable natural gas and compost? Or is it kept in trash trucks to decompose? We'll give folks a second to answer that one. Okay. So by now, hopefully you've selected the correct answer, which is that it's turned into renewable natural gas and compost. And to help us learn a little bit more about that and about compost in particular, we'll go ahead and turn things over to the city and to Josh. So Josh, over to you.
Great. Thank you, Jen. Yeah, so as all of you are aware, right, there's 1383 is such a big focus on recycling and really what's the byproduct of all your participation in recycling food and recycling yard waste, whether you're at a business, whether you're a resident, it all goes back to the CR&R processing facility. And it's a what a benefit it is to the Orange community because what do we do with all that organic waste? Excuse me, as Jen touched on in that question, right? It gets produced into renewable gas, and that gas is then used to help fuel CR&R trucks. So rather than using natural gas, it's using a byproduct from all this organic waste that's recycled. The other byproduct is compost and mulch. And compost and mulch it as a there's not only the events that we allow for access to for the compost and mulch, but it provides such a great benefit at home, at the businesses where it's used, right? It helps nutrify and enhance the soil and the landscaping there. And so really, right, what 1383's goal was to obviously remove it from the landfill, but create that kind of cyclical process, right, where the food waste is being generated right at the farm. Excuse me, food's being generated at the farms. We're consuming that. We have the byproducts of that, and then it's being recycled. So you actually can generate 100% recyclable and sustainable process. I think that's the total goal of all this regulation when you're recycling at your home or property. And yeah, it's going to reduce the carbon dioxide. And so Overall, we have those compost opportunities once again. We hope to see you out there at the CR&R and City of Orange compost event in 2 Saturdays from now.
Yeah, and on this, Josh, I was wondering for folks who may or may not have green space, what are some of the different ways that people can use compost?
Sure. Yeah, what can you do with it, right? If you don't have a big yard in front. Well, those individuals who are limited in space and may not have a large area, that's where maybe you can consider doing a window garden, right? Or maybe you have a small patio in a particular instance. You can do a little garden, some pots and have some beautification through landscaping. I think that's one of the great benefits of using the compost.
Yeah, that sounds great. And I think we can move on to the next slide, which is also in the city's court. So I'll keep that over with you, Josh.
Right. Yeah. And another benefit we've had here with this grant opportunity that California's presented here with all the other different jurisdictions with the 1383 grant money is that the city of Orange decided to purchase a tractor and spreader, which is pictured here. This is pictured here at our corporation yard when it just recently got delivered. And the idea here is to enhance those green spaces, those trails, those parks landscape medians that will be using this spreader to help put the compost in those landscaped and green areas, right? Um, Versus typically it would have taken a team, a crew of individuals to then, hand spread this compost and material. This actually could be a one-person shop here, right? One of our staff members would be on the tractor, load up the compost, then load the spreader. It's you can dump into it from the top. In there, you have these different spiralizers that are then pushing the compost to the front. There in that right picture, there's a little latch of a door there, and then that's what pops open, and then it's slinging the compost. And so you can get to anywhere from 15 feet on down to 5 feet. So it's a great way to help spread compost very quickly, and then once again help enhance those green open spaces in the city of Orange.
Yeah, and I know you touched on it, but I think it's important to note that it is through grant funding from the state. So it ties back to the state Senate Bill 1383 and the assistance funding related to that, right?
Correct. Yeah, that was one of the keys was, not to we wanted to ensure that we leverage those resources that are out there, and this was a great opportunity to help assist with that. Not only that, here the spreader, but even this workshop here is brought to you through the grant funding here that we've been provided.
Makes a lot of sense. All right. Well, thank you. I think that gives a good sense of what the spreader will do and what benefits will bring to the community. So I feel like we're good on that front. Very exciting. So then I think that does bring us to the open Q&A portion section of tonight's event. And we will just open it up now. We have the Q&A enabled within Zoom. So any of our attendees this evening are welcome to go ahead and type their questions in the Q&A tool, and we'll keep an eye on those for any questions as they pop up. And while we have questions coming in, I'd open it up to our presenters this evening. As the presentation unfolded, were there any questions that came to mind for you or anything that you thought, oh, I should have added that in my section? Anything along those lines? Okay, we do have a question coming in from the group. So I'll go ahead and ask the question, and then it seems like a city answer will be most appropriate for this one. But we have a question wondering what stage the city is in as far as compliance with SB 1383. Is there anything you can share on where you're at, and also what any big challenges may have been with implementation so far?
That's a great question. So the city of Orange has done a fantastic job, and really it starts at both the properties and also the residential property. So really all the participants here in the city of Orange have helped contribute to the compliance of 1383. We have only a few businesses and a couple of accounts that we're still working on. And those are really new accounts that are coming online. But at this standpoint, the city of Orange is at nearly 99% compliant on both residential, multifamily in regards to 1383. It speaks volumes to the whole team here that's been talking tonight, all the way from Abound Food Care with the edible food recovery process and making sure that businesses aren't participating there, as well as the single family residential. We've been compliant with that since 2020 when we were able to commingle both yard and food waste together. The properties, the commercial sector, that's been doing such a great job with the CR&R doing a lot of outreach, mainly going almost door to door on each business and getting their participation with the 1383 compliance. But the city's been doing a great job on that.
Any challenges in the implementation that come to mind?
I think there's always challenge in just explaining, what's the reason for it. Believe it or not, as much as I guess we as in staff and consultants here deal with 1383 on a daily basis. Not everyone knows about it, and so it's always reminding, coming in with a fresh view on any of those participants or non-participants at that point, and explaining what the reason is for 1383. There's still a need to get the outreach out there.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you for that question. Our next question is a CR&R question, I believe. And our participant is wondering, why can't palm fronds go into the green bin?
I can take this one. This one is tied in with the last question that I'm looking at. So someone had also asked about bones, and why they're not okay to go into the green container. So I'll kind of address both of these together at the same time. Um, the I think from what I know, our CR&R facility, the anaerobic digester, it unfortunately cannot process both these materials, whether it be the bones that are, too hard to process, or whether it be the palm fronds, whether they are too bulky or too thick or tough or something like that. It seems like it's much easier for our facility to process, uh, branches and leaves and shrubbery, grass clippings, yard clippings, items like that, and also food waste, food scraps. It seems like those items are much more easier to be processed compared to tougher items such as palm fronds and bones and stuff like that.
Okay, that makes sense. So thank you for answering that for our participants. And then we also have a question that,
Hey, Jen, sorry,
yes.
just looks like
Mhm.
Rogelio has something to contribute.
Oh, sure, by all means.
Yeah, I just wanted to go ahead and add to Tinya's comment regarding the palm fronds and the bones. And so another reason why it's a product that is preferred not to put in our in the green waste bin is because the the decomposition rate of bones is a lot longer than it is with the green waste and composting. I mean, like the yard waste, and so that's one of the reasons why the bones wouldn't necessarily be processed completely like the yard trimmings would. Um, and with the palm fronds are known to be very fibrous. And so when your material is placed in the waste bin and makes it to the composting facility, it does go through the grinding process. And so the grinders don't necessarily um, break the palm fronds down the same like they do with branches and leaves and twigs. And so that's another reason why keeping it away from the green waste allows the aesthetic look of the mulch and compost to be more unison.
That's a good point. Thanks, Roger.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. we did receive a question about home composting and worm composting. So I'm curious to see if our presenters have thoughts on that. I will open it up to Josh then. So is Orange promoting home composting and worm composting?
Yeah, so if individuals want to compost at home, they're certainly welcome to. Obviously, there's some potential side effects of having a composting at your own home of smells and different things like that. And obviously, we just don't want a code enforcement type of issue to arise from something like that. But certainly, individuals who want to compost and help nutrify their own space and property, by all means, they're their own property owner. Certainly, we try to make it easy, just in that it is offered to be placed in your green cart. And in there, part of the capturing the green waste is that you're not only what's different is that CR&R offers an anaerobic digestion process. So they're actually capturing the methane that's generated off of processing compost and then reusing it, or recycled organics. Versus compost, right? Where does that methane go? Now, obviously, at your home, you're talking about a very minimal amount, but composting doesn't capture the methane gas that's produced from recycling organic material.
Yeah, that's helpful. Thanks, Josh. And then we have a handful of waste sorting types of questions. I think I see a couple of CR&R related questions here, but I'll start it off by asking about, with the green bin, using it for food waste, what's the situation around bags there? Would CR&R be able to elaborate?
Yeah, I can answer that question. So currently we encourage residents to use either organic bags, which are like the green waste bags. Typically, you'll see them a little opaque green at the grocery stores, or you can use a clear plastic bag. This is just due to the fact that at the facility, when we are processing your green waste, we just rip open the bags and throw them away in the landfill, just because we're unsure of whether or not the bags that are being advertised as compostable are truly compost. We're hoping they are, but we take that precaution when they are processing it at the anaerobic digester. Hopefully that answers that question.
Yeah, I think it does. And then we have a handful of questions related to where things go. So things like glossy paper, coffee filters that don't have the coffee in them anymore, envelopes and letters, newspapers, magazines, those types of items. So I would open it up for CR&R on a reminder of what goes where in terms of those types of items.
Yeah, definitely. I can also answer that as well. So glossy paper would actually go into the landfill. Anything with like a waxy coating on the outside, we're unable to process that material. It can't break down. So that would just straight go into your landfill container, unfortunately. Even though it is paper, it's not completely able to break down. Same for coffee filters. It depends on the type of coffee filter. If it's like something that is like a fabric that's not able to break down, so anything with a plastic coating on it, we wouldn't be able to process. But if it's just a very clear cloth bag that's not covered in any type of plastic, we're able to put that in the organic container. If you're talking like in reference to K-cups, those would go straight in the trash because it's full of just plastic. And if you're just talking about like the white paper coffee sleeves, those could go into the organic bin if they don't have like a plastic material, as some do. Envelopes would also go into the trash just because we can't separate the clear plastic if it has like a casing on the outside to show like the names and the address. That would just go into the trash. But if it's completely paper and it doesn't have that plastic material, that can go into the recycling. And color for newspaper also can go into the recycling as long as it doesn't have a coat on it. Because we can process that colored newspaper as long as it's, again, has a way to break down when you put water on it. At least that's a good rule of thumb. If you put some water on a piece of paper and it slides right off, probably will go right into the landfill.
I like the water trick. That's a good one. And we got one more specific to waste sorting, which is empty plastic milk cartons. Where would you place those?
Trash. They go into the trash because they have the wax inside. Yeah, they go into the trash.
Okay. So I think we're up to speed on our sorting questions. Another CR&R related question came in. Does CR&R offer public tours of your facilities?
I can, yes, we do. And you can contact us by emailing us at the CR&R, orange-recycles at crnrmail.com. And they do provide it, but it's, you know, it's far from here, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it came up in the slides. Could you describe where your facility is?
Tiniel, can you take that one for me, please?
Yeah, so as Isabel mentioned, we do offer tours for our anaerobic digester facility. For our organic waste, it is located in the city of Paris. So it is whiles away. However, we do offer the opportunity to tour it. It is a little bit tough because there is a limited number of participants that we can have at a time. So it can't be too big of a group or anything like that. However, we do offer the tour. And as Isabel mentioned, again, just contact us at CR&R or not CR&R, orange-recycles at crrmail.com, and then we'll do our best to accommodate your request.
Awesome. I'm loving all these questions coming in. Thanks so much, everyone, for sharing your questions. We'll give it another minute or so.
And also just to answer the most recent question by William Melcher, I believe, in regards to the plastic bags. Totally agree. The plastic bags are not sustainable, but unfortunately, to increase participation, that is why we're accepting them for now. Just until if there's any laws that change that say that we can't, we'll make sure to update the public on that. But right now, we're focusing on an increase in participation with commercial, multifamily, and residential businesses. So although it is unfortunate to use the plastic bag for organic waste, this is just helping us process that at our facility instead of it being in, like, let's say a black bag or something that we're not able to fully see the contents of what's in the bag.
Thanks, Linda. And I'm not seeing any other questions that have popped in, but I'll open up to our presenters at this point too to see if there were any other thoughts that came to mind or any other questions you may have heard that you'd like to chime in on some more. Okay. And I think we're up to speed on our Q&A. I'm just double checking one last time. Okay. Then I think we're set on the Q&A. Thank you so much again for those who submitted questions, and thank you to everyone who shared answers. So at this point, this does wrap up the presentation. So thank you all again so much for joining our workshop this evening. To stay connected and up to date moving forward, we encourage you all to visit the websites for the City of Orange and all the partners who presented this evening. You can see on this slide QR codes that will take you to the home pages for each organization. And as a reminder, you're always welcome to find information on the city's webpage, cityoforange.org/solid waste. And you can submit any questions that you think of afterwards or at any time via email by emailing those to pwinfo@cityoforange.org. So again, thank you all so much for joining and have a great rest of your night. Thank you.